Recording is on.
Welcome to DXgov Governance Discussion, Wednesday, May 12th, 1500 UTC. Starting first with the proposal roundup. 5 proposals boosted or pending boosting on mainnet, and 3, actually a little bit more than an XI. So starting with mainnet, there's the DXgov Treasury Diversification number 15. This is a 250 ETH conversion to DAI. This is actually the first one under the second, or the first new proposal under the second Treasury authorization proposal. I think that's supposed to pass in the next day or so. Second is the DXD buyback program signal proposal. This passed on XDAI yesterday with, I think it was like 20% of rep, and then this one is slated to pass in the next, I think tomorrow evening. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit later. And then next is fund gas governance refund. So this is the governance refunds actually for the whole of Q1. I think it's 24 ETH that is being refunded for all of those. So hopefully when that passes, you can go claim your refunds on gas. And I think it should be the same process that we've done before, but this time it's being led by Dave Fluid Drop. And so that hopefully will go through the next couple days here. And then next is Treasury diversification number 16. It's another 250 ETH trade, this time to USDC. That one was just boosted maybe yesterday, maybe it's been submitted. And then I think there's another one that's been submitted that has not been boosted yet, but gas prices have been kind of crazy. And then the last one on mainnet is the safe multi-call installation, which allows DXDAO to interact with a set of smart contracts, and that is up for voting for I think another 6.5 days before that proposal will conclude. Any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns on mainnet proposals outstanding? Cool. And then on XDAI, we have some rep boost. So Snoofkin, the RF Noob or Thurf Noob. I think I like Thurf Noob better. Lead parachutes. And so a couple of these are out of the Discord rep boost program that Keenan launched, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, the signal proposal passed. So this is rep awards based upon activity in Discord over Q1. So it's anywhere from like 0.01% to I think 0.09% or something like that. And so that's something we'll be doing, I think, every quarter. And so they're submitting the proposals here, and then they, in the instructions, they're supposed to go to the Discord governance discussion channel on the DXDAO Discord, and then paste the proposal and say this is me. So I think it's a great way to expand governance, get people voting on things. It's nice to see some of the community members of the Discord like pretty active in voting on XDAI. They have the same handles attached to both, so that's been good to see. There are worker proposals for Fluid Drop, Level K, and Quarkus, and then there is the proposal for grant investment from DXDAO to Opolis Inc. And I want to open up the floor just because we talked a little about that last week. Before we do that, that is a 100,000 DAI grant, and if you do the math right now, we have 101,000 XDAI in DXDAO base, in XDXDAO base. Luckily, we just had a proposal pass, I think, Monday to transfer 100 ETH to XI base, but it would be great to do that today to make sure that the funds are there before that proposal is slated to pass in 5 days. But that's a pretty big proposal. It's a big move for DX Ventures, big move for DXDAO. So I don't know if Sky or Tammy wanted to say something about the proposal.
Tammy, or
we're waiting for the other.
You're both unmuted.
Well, mainly just let's please boost it if you support it, because
it should already be boosted.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yeah,
well, that was my point. Sky, anything else you'd like to add?
No, it's interesting. So it's really interesting. We only found out. Okay, so just the background is originally we thought that DX Ventures opportunities would mainly be coming from like mainnet funds. We in general, that's where the creation and signal proposal to create the initiative and stuff was all on mainnet. what's really interesting, we only found out in the last like 1 week, basically, since work token had launched to the public community. There's like a few thousand people that already hold it. That it's actually like most of the activity is taking place on XDAI. So there is a mainnet token called ProtoWork, which is the actual real token, which is bridged across to XDAI, and that's where all of their governance is going to take place and where all the holders are. So it's actually a pretty good opportunity for DXDAO in general, especially with Swapper, obviously. And so it's quite interesting that as we learn that out, it made sense for the proposal, which the proposal came from Opolis to DXDAO as an entity and that's, we're thinking of this proposal as like the contract between a third-party entity and the DAO itself. And so we thought that made more sense on mainnet, but in this case, it works really well on XDAI. It's a quicker proposal. We're like a little late to be in their public announcement, I think, which I think Tammy mentioned is like today. So we're hopefully going to do a second announcement where like it might actually be better, where like DXDAO joins the round as a DAO participant, and there could be like a second announcement with like fewer entities named, which we could promote, and that like may get more attention than just being like one of the mixed in 20 in the first announcement. So overall, it's pretty good. It will be the first DX Ventures participation and opportunity, and it's actually like an investment grant. Actually, it's like really a grant today that becomes an investment maybe in the future. And yeah, overall, I think there's an idea to maybe write an article, maybe create a DX Ventures medium, like so we can have an article specifically about this first opportunity and the process and what was learned and things, and that could be helpful for moving this type of initiative forward. So yeah, that's long-winded answer.
Almost congratulations.
Right. And actually one thing just for future governance questions that came up for me when I was doing the our quote unquote agreement that we're doing on XDAI is the idea of, okay, when we create all these bases, where in the future are we going to live, right? So we have an XDAI address for our contract where if, we receive future tokens from Opolis for a sale, where are those tokens going to go? Are we still going to be using the XDAI contract? How do we all agree upon where these tokens are going to go? Hopefully someone doesn't say, hey, these tokens are going to go into my personal address, right? So we have to actually, this is kind of on the tech side and maybe something that we could even ratify on the forum or through a signal proposal on mainnet. I think we need to say like, these are approved, DXDAO approved treasury bases, basically. So we have like some sort of documentation if in the future these tokens come 5 years from now when the sale happens versus 2 years or whatever, we have like a location that they can easily be placed. Just something that came up in my mind.
That's actually an interesting question. I would say mainnet is like the headquarter, right? I don't expect it will be gone in 4 years, 5 years. Hopefully not.
Yeah, but I do agree that it's like, and this is authorization really, and so it's not just like another new DXDAO base is set up, but like there needs to be authorization from main DXDAO base, and we did that with DXDAO, with XDXDAO. Like when we first started doing worker payments in there, that original proposal was like, I think I said anoint in the proposal itself. It was like anoint this I guess address as like the official DXDAO base. And so with Arbitrum, just think about like DXvote, like Augusto's working on DXvote, which is awesome, and he's going to deploy like a base to Arbitrum that's probably going to have like the same rep of mainnet or of XDAI, but like that's not a DXDAO base, right? Augusto's great, and like he's going to launch it, but like it's only a DXDAO base when like the main base provides some like authorization and being like, this is the official one. And then I think there are other concerns on like, yeah, like long term, if we're doing a deal or with the Opolis one, like if that's coming back to the XDAI base, then like how long will we kind of be there. But it seems like most of the things on XDAI are part of the XDAI community, and so I imagine they'll stick around.
Yeah, just a little more on that is the good thing about this actual proposal, which is kind of like a contract. You know, John, the Opolis team asked, like, who should we make the proposal to, right? And we and a small group of people said you should make the proposal to this DAO, right? There's a bunch of XDX DAOs on XDAI, right? That there's a small group that said you should make the proposal to this DAO. That kind of like, so if he made it to like the wrong DAO, it would not have been, it wouldn't be voted on, it wouldn't pass, no money would flow to Opolis. So this proposal is actually what connects the investment to this actual DAO wallet, which is at least initially. And then if for some reason this disappeared at some point in the future, I mean, disappear, I don't know what that means, but before they sent more tokens, yes, you probably want to, ideally it comes to this same address, but if for some reason it didn't exist or didn't work, there would need to be someone informing Opolis via some proof, hopefully, before they like send out tokens to a new address, and that would require this new kind of verification. Because yeah, we could switch DAOs, I guess, in the future, but it's going to take some active monitoring and if it changes from this actual address.
Yeah, just wanted to say that what I think is that a DAO is not just an address. You know, what the entire DAO is the rep holders who have on their accounts. We all acknowledge that these certain accounts have a certain amount of rep, and this rep is enforced in multiple networks in different smart contracts. All that is the DAO. All that is DXgov. DXgov is DXgov mainnet, DXgov on XDAI, even DXgov on Rinkeby, the one that we are testing with our rep accounts there. And everything that governs the DAO is the balance that it's under our ownership in XDAI mainnet in our other network. So it's not that we are just one network, one smart contract, one address. We are multiple, and yeah, we have to look ourselves as an organization that can act in different scenarios, like in different networks, and that it can change. Actually, what gives value to the DAO, our value is that we are more than 400 accounts with reputation spread across all the accounts, and that is what gives us our security. That is what we were talking, for example, yesterday when we were talking about security concerns of our smart contracts. This social security that we can own a shit ton of money and we don't have to, and our security comes from our accounts, from our voters, and that happens on all networks. And we are not just one address. We are just a big organization that can change, that can mutate to other addresses, to other networks. So we should look ourselves as that, you know, as a huge organization with not just one address, not just, for example, one DXgov base to govern them all. Actually, no, we can execute multiple decisions in different bases.
Yeah, I like the thinking of DXDAO as what you say, like gigantic organization, right? But it's all about like what are the connections that bind those things together, and such a powerful connection is what you said is just the rep distribution being able to be like transported to different chains, because that's a really powerful way of connecting them. So,
I mean, that's our security. We are one proposal away to take all the money, you know, to take everything from the DAO. It's just one proposal away, right? You can create one proposal in the contribution reward to send all the ethers to one address. But that doesn't happen, and it won't get executed because our security lies in our social voting, right? In our reputation distribution that is enforced on the code level. So that is why the DAO what the DAO is.
and I'm thinking a lot about identity now. Like, what is DXDAO? What is identity? Another plug for David Hume.
Exactly. We just one address, Now we are 2 or 3. Now we have 2 addresses in different networks. So
yeah. Cool. All right, let's keep going. We want to get back to something similar to that later. But I think that's it for XDAI base and mainnet. There were a couple recently passed proposals that I just wanted to highlight. So there were a couple different rep boosts for Lamo, Ferdinand, and then a ZET contributor payout. And then, as I said before, the DXD buyback proposal on a signal proposal on XDAI just passed. And then importantly, we had 10 really huge majority votes over the weekend to get, I think, like $1.5 million of liquidity into Swapper. So that's cool that we did a majority vote. But the other important thing is, if you did vote on that majority vote, make sure you go back to that proposal and redeem your rep, because it is locked in that proposal. So I put links to all of the pair proposals in the governance agenda, but you'll have to do it on basically 10 proposals, because it's all of the funding proposals, of which there are 5, and then all of the pair proposals. Actually, so there's 8, 4 of each. I guess just on that, the one thing, stake was part of this proposal, and that's in the treasury, but not in Swapper, because it's not part of the UI. So I don't know if we want to work with DAO Stack on that, if we want to have a proposal that someone can submit not through the UI that provisions Swapper, provisions liquidity in Swapper for the stake ETH pair, but that part of the proposal has not been done yet.
We could do both. Yeah. On the list.
Cool. And then just a couple, kind of it for the proposal, round up just a couple different things in terms of discussion. Picking up on some of the Opolis discussion, I wanted to just get some feedback on some ideas on like how we standardize some of these governance discussions. So I think there was a lot of really good feedback from Opolis, but there was also this like, well, how long does the feedback stage take before we go to proposal? And so we've been pretty flexible in terms of like our standards for this. Like, I think there's kind of an ad hoc approach, but in general, it's proposals need to first exist in the forum at some point and be discussed within the DXDAO community before being submitted to a formal proposal. That's just kind of the culture I think that rep holders have developed in terms of acceptable proposals and acceptable levels of transparency and disclosure. But we don't really have like hard and fast numbers on that. It's not like worker proposals need to be up for this amount, or treasury diversification, different ways with that. And with the DX Ventures here, it was kind of the same thing. Do we just have this like endless debate, or so yeah, just kind of curious what people thought about, like, maybe should we be trying to put more structure and standards on like the proposal process, particularly as it comes to discussion, to try to standardize this a bit, which would maybe expedite things, but I think also just provide some clarity for certain proposals. So any thoughts or comments on this?
Yeah, I think it's very important to not do what XDAI governance did, which is brand new spanking non-governance, and do the forum post and the snapshot proposal. They use snapshot, but like at the same immediate time. And the biggest problem that it caused was like community members of the XDAI community didn't have a chance to discuss anything or give any feedback, right? So DXDAO has a pretty good governance process, but it's doing for a long time, and there is a general practice to do your post about, share in channels, post about it, mention on a call, post a forum post. And I actually think the asynchronous, and we've seen this with the Opolis discussion, we've seen it with the Omen competition coming up, like doing asynchronous discussions in the forum is very powerful, because people have said that they can't watch videos. So like if you don't come to a call, like you don't know anything about some new proposal, it has to be that there has to be discussion in the forum that people have the ability to link to and read about and voice their opinions. And I think there was a general thing about like maybe doing more DXD snapshots around different discussions, and that can actually be done pretty early on in like, because it's just a signal proposal, it can be implemented pretty early on in like big important discussion topics, so that DXDAO in general is aware of what DXD holders think about a certain thing. And so the more you do that early in the forum, and even the snapshot, and include a link to it in the forum and have discussions in the forum, it becomes more open and clear for everyone, I think. So I don't know about exact timing, but I guess I did raise the point of, there was one DXD holder who had voiced opposition or questions about like a single proposal, and like that extended the whole thing 2 or 3 weeks. And what if like a week later another person, community member, comes in and voices a new question? Like you could literally attack the DAO by just extending discussion week after week after week. So some general rules of like when it's okay to make a formal proposal, because on XDAI proposals are cheap. So like you can actually do a proposal, and if discussion changes, you could, you know, vote that one down and do another proposal. You don't want to do that, but you have the ability to. And a lot of times discussions don't actually really start, and people don't pay a lot of attention until there's an actual proposal on the Alchemy. Sometimes like the forum post doesn't actually ignite the discussion until they're forced to by a forum proposal, by an Alchemy proposal.
I think this is literally the definition of filibuster, right? It's like prolonged debate to delay execution of this. I think there are, there are a couple things I think with this, like with holographic consensus and voting on DXDAO, voting is final. Like once you vote, you can't change your vote on that same proposal. So there is something about people that are like, there's a certain amount of time when the proposal is boosted, when like I need to make a decision for that, and I can't go back and change that decision. So I think we want to have some of that in there. And then I also think like DXDAO governance is not meant to require like unanimous votes. Like we can have dissent, we can have people disagree, and they should voice those disagreements. But like that, just disagreeing with the proposal is not enough to stop it. Like we can have proposals that are passed with 51-49, right? And we should have the governance system to do that. We have that on change, but we do have like the culture to make sure we have enough discussion time. But then once that discussion time is over, like we move to a vote. So yeah, I don't know if we're ready for hard and fast rules yet, but I just think that clarifying some of this would help, I think, formulate these discussions as they go through.
Yeah, Chris, I think thanks to your, and others' work on the governance 2.0 proposal, I think that we'll be able to get to a point where we get DXD holders actually participating, and it will feel kind of more like reflective of maybe DXD opinions. I think something like you said could be used, like something just like even just saying, this much time in the forum, and then if there's some, a reasonable issue that we think comes to light, we should at least address it on a call, right? And then from there, it can go to vote. I think that could be enough as well. I mean, the DXD holder snapshot was good, but Sky did mention how the participation rate is pretty low. So it also feels like we could do it, of course, but we don't want to delay too far out with it. Yeah.
Something to think about how we do this, and I think it all depends on the specific proposals, because it's not every proposal, it's just a couple ones that we have. I think like my general rule of thumb is like, I think if something's sitting in the forum for a week and it's been brought up on at least one call, that it's generally acceptable, ready to go to proposal submission. But that's just like a heuristic, and it would depend a lot on what the actual proposal is and what the disputes or disagreements are. Okay, next is syncing rep to mainnet. So there's been a discussion kind of the last week or so about figuring out how we start issuing some of these mainnet rep awards that contributors have earned, how do we start issuing those on mainnet, given that we've been doing XDAI for all of the actual compensation payouts? So the two ways we think about doing this are like the long-term way is we'll probably have another scheme installed that can distribute multiple rep awards in a single proposal. That will take some time, and I think we want to be able to figure out how we can get contributors the rep that they've earned like over the last couple of months in the short term. So I think it probably makes sense for us to maybe we don't need to authorize or anoint or really anything, but just have individual contributors begin to submit mainnet proposals that request the rep that they have earned over the last 3 months, so that we would batch all this together. Now, this would still be probably, maybe $1,000 proposal, given like where ETH is at now, in terms of like the submitting, boosting, voting, and proposal. And I think we probably have around 15, 16, 17 addresses that need rep syncs. We're still crunching these numbers with the contributor UX team. But I think it makes sense for this to be an expense that DXDAO has in terms of distributing rep to the contributors that have earned it, as long as we're batching it up in 3-month increments. So we need to get a forum post up about the rep earned over the last couple of months. It's been all the proposals that everyone's been doing, and we'll work on that. But I just wanted to check with everyone here on what they think about having individuals submit proposals, contributors submit proposals to claim their mainnet rep awards over the next month or two.
So one really good thing is by making the conscious decision to move a lot of the activity to XDAI, that has caused a problem where you don't have rep on mainnet, right? So, but that basically saved probably $500,000, right? And so this is now a $20,000 cost to sync that rep back to mainnet for 3 months, or now it's 4 months or 5 months of time. So you basically saved $500,000 to then spend $20,000. That's a pretty good deal.
And things were a little bit different when like gas was looking really great a week ago, and then Monday and Tuesday, like 300 Guays showed up. But like, I mean, 100, I'm feeling 100 Guay is like at least market rate maybe for the next month or so. And that I think is the cost is respectable.
Someone let the dogs out, but I think they tire quickly. So we might be back down before you know it.
Yeah, wanted to point out that what the work we are doing in XDAI, issuing more rep across different accounts, it's awesome. That is what we should be aiming for, to better rep distribution and more decentralized rep voting, right? It's very, very, very important that this is reflected on mainnet, because this is where our security comes at, right? The more rep that is distributed on mainnet, the better. So we are doing great work on XDAI, but most of our funds, like 100% of our funds, are in mainnet. So what I think we should start exploring is to sync rep from mainnet. I mean, from XDAI to mainnet. We are now one is going to be requesting rep on mainnet now due to gas cost, right? So we should find out. Oh man, stop more. We should find out. We should design a way to update mainnet to match XDAI repetition, because that's very good for mainnet. More rep spread away, more security.
But Augusto, do you know of a new, exciting, cheap way to do it in batch, in a massive, like one big batch, versus everyone doing it individually?
We should be able to do that. We should be able to do that with the, I don't know if with the multi-call scheme and Nylon. I guess Nylon now we speak about it, what are our possibilities, but we should be able to do it.
Yeah, we need to talk about this like offline. Maybe we'll organize a call and we can, because I mean, there's a solution for this. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the TLDR is it's possible, but it sort of changes like how things are done, like from a security perspective. So it would need to be handled pretty carefully. And like Sky was saying, you know, I mean, and Augusto too, right? Like this is really important. We've made a pretty solid effort to minimize the costs. Like, and we just got to kind of do a trade-off on like what is the cost to do it individually versus in a batch, and like what is the security concern there. I mean, and there's just going to be some overhead cost either way, right? But it's very important that we get the sync done on mainnet one way or another. So we'll just do it separately and make a recommendation.
The biggest issue is going to be the amount of gen that people are going to need for 20 proposals.
Yeah, no. Well, we should be able to write a simple scheme, add it to our governance system, and issue right there. The problem there is, it's going to be how to work with DAO Stack and Alchemy. That is eventually going to. I don't know if it disappear or something. It will be awesome to get someone from DAO Stack, telling us what is going to happen with Alchemy in the long run. We know that we have 2 more away, but Nylon, you are not working anymore with DAO Stack, right? But
yeah, I don't really know.
Man, we need to get some assurance there.
I can speak to this. I don't think we have much assurance. So I think that the plan from DAO Stack, I've talked to Matan, and we do have, channels open. There are people at DAO Stack still working on Alchemy. So it's not like an immediate problem, right? But they are planning, they're only in maintenance mode with Alchemy right now. And they're basically planning to sunset, they want out essentially, right? So over the longer run, we need to think of what we're doing to maintain Alchemy ourselves, or provide an alternative. I don't think they're going to leave us high and dry, but they have already expressed the desire to basically sunset their involvement with Alchemy. I don't know what that means for Gen, the token, but in terms of Alchemy, I think we need to come up with a plan to replace it.
Yeah, here now talking about the minting, the multiple mints of rep, which is something that we are going to need eventually. There are 2 ways that I see to fix it. One is that we add a new scheme or that feature on Alchemy, which is not under control, right? We are dependent on DAO Stack on that, or we wait for DXgov to become live on mainnet, and we use that. So we have. I think both of them are going to take maybe the same time.
Yeah, I think the Alchemy stuff is a big discussion. It's separate, and we'll get a DXgov update from Augusto at the end of this. But I think for this specific, I think our short-term goal should be having individual contributors submit proposals to claim 3 months of rep rewards on mainnet in doing that over the next month, and we'll need to document that. And then the medium long-term solution is getting a real new scheme installed, and for that we should make sure that we're gotten everything buttoned up, and that also may align with some of the DXgov efforts we're doing, so it may be a little bit redundant there. But I just think it's important to get the sync going now, so we should figure out a way to get individual proposals to do it.
I have an idea. There's a way we could kind of hack this to reduce overhead if we wanted, right? So we're already running a lot of treasury diversification proposals through. So each one of those proposals could also be doing a rep assignment, right? So if we are clever about this, we can simply do it one at a time, to start syncing people's reps on these divergent, and it just saves the cost, right? We're just gonna, which is significant now, right? On mainnet, we're talking about thousands of dollars to pass a proposal. I mean, if it costs 20 grand to sync the rep, I think that's a justifiable overhead cost. But if we can reduce it, we should take those opportunities.
Can you send rep to a different address in the same proposal?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe not.
I think you can only choose one address, at least in the UI, right?
Yeah, no, I think you maybe only can do one address.
I was so into this idea. I was like, this is great. We solved everything. This guy, I think,
sorry, Chris, real quick on timing. Since we do 2-month worker proposals on XDAI, we've been doing that. Theoretically, you should really do this sync after 4 months. you want to have like make sure you have two 2-month proposals, and then do 3 months doesn't really work. So it's either 2 or 4 months.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You can't do it in the middle, right?
Yeah, let's think about. We'll figure out the logistics of that because that makes sense. I think we had first started doing proposals in mid-February on XDI, so that's been 3 months since then. So that was the reason. But if we're planning for this, we could just cut it off at 4 months. But we'll figure this out. Which actually leads very nice into contributor UX check-in. Melanie, do you have? There you are.
Yeah. Hey guys. Hey everyone. Just an update on the Contributor Experience Squad. We had our first meeting with Position last week to help us find our next marketing lead. After meeting with Trey and Chase, I feel very confident they can provide us with strong candidates that we all at DXgov will later select to fill the role. They have already given us a robust pipeline of candidates they're in communication with or plan on engaging with for the marketing lead position. So I'll keep everyone updated with the progress in the upcoming weeks as we begin to narrow in on the candidates. Also for recruiting, we are creating and refining processes around the interview process for all the other open positions at DXgov. We're especially focusing on the process around screening incoming new developers. One thing I want to follow up on as well is the tracking sheet on DAO Talk with all the contributors' DXD vesting payments that was posted last week. If you haven't yet, please take a chance to review the sheet and let us know if you have any questions or if there are any discrepancies. We'd be happy to go over it and review it with you. I'm really pleased and think everybody's doing a great job of submitting their worker proposals. At this point, every one of you should have received some type of alert message signaling you that you have an upcoming worker proposal due, or if it's late. Hopefully these notifications you all find beneficial and is helping you stay on top of when to prepare your next worker proposal. In addition, please remember that before submitting your worker proposal to Alchemy, to submit your worker proposal as a DAO Talk forum post for the community to review 7 days in advance. And again, thank you to everyone who has sent over referrals for all our open positions. Please continue sending them over. Our DX referral program is still being constructed, but we'll have a forum post up soon, and looking forward to rewarding our contributors who are sending great talent our way. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. And just on that, if anyone's interested, they did send over, Position did send over a first batch of like crypto first candidates. And we're gonna look at those a little bit on the contributor UX call after this. If anyone is interested, they can reach out. Cool. And then next, almost at the end of the agenda, is DXD buyback execution. So I just wanted to kind of like touch on this now, considering that the signal proposal for XDI has passed and the signal proposal on mainnet presumably will pass tomorrow evening. And so after that, that will be clear signal from DXDAO that it hopes to move forward with the buyback program. But of course, then we need to actually have proposals that execute that buyback. So I think starting Thursday night, starting Friday, we can start to submit those proposals. And I think most people think that we should start with this on XDI. So XDI would be ready to submit those proposals on Friday because the multi-call scheme there does not have a whitelist. For mainnet, it will take, I think, another 4 or 5 days for the multi-call scheme to be installed before those proposals can be executed. And for both on XDI and mainnet, it takes 2 proposals, a funding proposal and a multi-call proposal that actually submits the trade itself. Those can run concurrently. So just talking about like with XDI, I don't know how we want to do this, but I guess there's maybe be on the lookout for a proposal over the next 5 days, and starting on Friday. And I think it'd be really cool to potentially get a majority vote for this into kind of executing the buyback there. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any thoughts on the buyback execution component. Majority votes all weekend.
I think they worked out last time on the weekend, right? But I definitely had the sentiment that people had weekends, and we might, yeah, weekends could be difficult. But now that we know ahead of time that like weekend is majority vote time, maybe all rep holders could do us the favor of voting on the weekend.
As you're getting dressed to go to dinner, just to, check your alchemy and while you're buttoning up and tying your tie, just do a quick vote.
Well, but I mean, these are the things where it's like majority vote is better, but it's like we want these proposals to pass. And like as a rep holder, I want it to pass immediately, as in, because I think that's important. But like even if it passed through a holographic consensus, like that's still like okay. So I think we can get in the habit of like this is an important proposal. We're pushing for majority vote, but like and we'd like to get there, but that's not like dependent on the proposal passing. But I also don't know if like weekends might just be the time because that's when we've done this. Because I think it tends to be like at the end of the work week when we're like ready to submit these things. So I think we would, we could probably get majority vote during the week too. But anyway, just as a like, this would be a probably looking for proposals on XDAI in the next couple of days.
Who's going to lead is there someone who knows how to create those limit orders on GPV1 on XDAI?
Well, there's a great technical explainer attached to the buyback program signal, which I think outlines what inputs should be, but it is like a little tricky. And so, I don't know if we obviously need to go kind of like liquidity provisioning where like there is some risk that the proposal will fail if not all the parameters are set correctly.
Got it. And also like, I think for everyone, it is clear that DXD is still extremely undervalued, and rep holders have a huge responsibility now to make sure that the DXD is making sure that to do like the buyback as soon as possible. There was a long of delay, we had several weeks of delays because of external project teams dependencies, and I think now we actually need to move quick here and execute fast to buy back as much as DXD as we can based on the approved buyback proposal.
Yeah, and the buyback program proposal, right? Like there could be trades every day, right? Buys every day, as long as it's 25% of ADTV. Of average daily trading volume. Perp. Cool. All right, and I think that was it. We could roll into the DX vote update, Augusto.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't gonna. DX vote. What happened on DX vote? Yeah, we finished the fixes on the wallet scheme issue that we found on the smart contracts. We had a very good call yesterday, organized by John, where we talked with other workers about the funds that the issue that we found the security risk involved in using this new scheme that is going to this scheme and the permission registry, the new way that we are going to be allowing things to happen in the DXgov, in DXvote, that is going to be not only by address, also by address and signatures and function signatures, allowing to call specific functions on specific contracts. And then I was working on the deployment on Arbitrum. Lot of issues there, lot of roadblocks because Arbitrum was up and down, an upgrade on command happened and they weren't ready, so it went down, then it went down again. And then when I deployed, the faucet wasn't working. So short story is that the deployment on Arbitrum can happen. I tested it and we are able to use Arbitrum on DXgov, but I'm going to put it on hold till we need it, till we have the smart contracts deployed on Arbitrum and we need to be deployed there. There is no rush right now to having deployed there, because also it's just an entire testnet that doesn't seem to be completely working. So I have several doubts about Arbitrum, but let's say maybe we are surprised and finally it works well. For now, what I'm going to focus on is to finish the smart contracts update and deploy. Well, we already redeployed on Rinkeby. I'm going to be sharing the link soon on the governance chat, where everyone will be able to get back on the DXgov on Rinkeby and test it, and then deploy on XDAI. The goal, I think, is it's a realistic goal to put that we are going to have DXgov on XDAI by the end of this month, where we are going to be able to send some funds and start testing and playing with there. Requirement thing that I need is to later we will need to figure out where do we want to take the rep from. I guess from XDAI network, since we're going to be deploying to XDAI. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. I hope the things you said about Arbitrum were more of just problems yesterday, and maybe just with the test net. But it sounds like when Arbitrum's ready to go, like we're ready to go, or you're ready to go to deploy. And then I think like that is like we want to do that so that we can launch Swapper on Arbitrum, because Swapper on Arbitrum can't come until we have a DXDAO base on Arbitrum. So we're going to need to move quickly with this, because as soon as like Arbitrum's ready to launch, they'll probably have some soft launch where things are before they do a big announcement, but it could be like speed is really important. So it would be good for us to like get these things lined up like you've done with DXvote for when Arbitrum is ready, that we can move quickly. And I think there's and maybe another corresponding track that we need to think of about getting liquidity and funds into Arbitrum there. So
about that, are we already saying how much funds are we going to put there? Because really it doesn't bring me any how do you say, any confidence when I was using Arbitrum. Even the block explorer, you are not even able to, for example, verify smart contracts, to debug all the transaction, everything that's happening. So on my eyes, Arbitrum usability on the user level is a long way. It's going to take a long time. Yeah, you can deploy smart contracts on mainnet, but I think it's not ready yet to be used for the users. So we should be very careful on how much funds we are sending there.
Yeah, I don't know if other people have thoughts, but yeah, I think there's a big benefit to Swapper having like some liquidity that is DXDAO provided, which is in like I'm thinking like even the 1 to 2 million range, because that means people have something instantly to trade, and it also means people can add liquidity in other tokens and very easily do that. So I think that is really the only goal of putting funds into Arbitrum, is like specifically for Swapper. I don't think we should be putting like doing worker payments out of there, because we're pretty well set up on XDAI. But I think the real opportunity on on Arbitrum for Swapper is not actually about DXDAO liquidity or just about DXDAO liquidity, but also about the potential launch of Swapper token, which will would hopefully draw in liquidity from other sources to Swapper on Arbitrum. So yeah, I don't expect like a huge amount in the initial stages, just because it's about getting that initial batch of liquidity for Swapper, but it's very much about like supporting Swapper than it is about like moving funds there for operational purposes. And so for the supporting Swapper, it's going to be like highly dependent upon like the competitive opportunity that's on Arbitrum there, and whether that's worth the risk of moving more funds. But you're the first. I've heard mostly good things about Arbitrum, and like more that they are like that. I guess that they are. I've heard more dev friendly than other chains. I guess maybe that's in comparison to the layer 2s that are not like the other layer 2s, like Optimism, that are not. I mean, ZK Sync and the other ones that are not perfectly EVM compatible. But I don't expect any other chains to have like Etherscan immediately. But block explorers are incredibly important for users being able to find that. I know that they are working with a lot of other partners to get all of the support up. I mean, at this point, everyone kind of realizes all of the different pieces you need to go along with the blockchain to make it usable. Block Explorer, MetaMask, the graph, all of these things that they are engaging and hopefully are kind of executing on that, and they could do that. Because I mean, just think about Polygon and how Polygon has kind of blown up over the last couple months, and so I think there is some opportunity for that to happen on Arbitrum.
Yeah, one of my concerns is that it seems fragile right now on testnet. Like they have all the nodes. I don't know how many applications or how many protocols are going to be running their nodes. So I'm just going to be waiting there to see how healthy the network is going to be. But that was my take out there. It looked fragile.
Just love the image of like Arbitrum Augusto just camping out on Arbitrum, like waiting for others to come. But I appreciate the skeptical eye, and so we'll have to keep those in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good observation. Like I think it's likely that there will be a rocky start. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? It's a highly anticipated launch, so it's one reason BizDev-wise we need to keep our eyes on it. But that also puts a lot of pressure on these teams, and I think it's likely to have some kind of a rockiness to the beginning, and so we should be careful.
Sweet. And then anything else, like I guess we could start with DXvote, not Arbitrum? Is that something like, and you talked about XDAI, like deploying to XDAI?
Yeah, eager to have it on XDAI. Right now, I'm redeploying everything on Rinkeby and making sure that we are going to be able to test it there, because now we did the first audit. We got the first review. We did the first the changes on smart contracts. Now we decided to do another audit of the permission registry and wallet scheme again. And after that finish, we are going to be good to go to deploy to XI. So between that time, my focus is going to be to to fix all the issues that we have on the application. There is a lot of things that can be fixed. It's barely working. So yeah, eager to have it on XI and to start using it. I think it's going to be a great experience for our users.
Yeah, I was about to say that's it, and then looking at Nathan's post, will be interesting to read that. Anything else? Comments, things people on the mind want to say before we conclude? Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a good day.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys.
Cheers.